all today.
I know, but honestly, that's fine for me. We are on to Summoner's Rift for our final game of the day. Vanir up against MNM Gaming. Both of these teams looking to stamp their authority on the bottom end of the table and say, look, we're still contesting those playoff spaces. X7 beware, because we are here. And both of these teams, we've got the Zoo coming in on one side with the Ahri, the Wukong, and the Renekton. We've got Volleyball on the other side. Menagerie of Championes.
Yeah, it is worth, again, speaking about how close these teams are now, actually, to X7. We said this on Monday and a little bit at the end of last week, too. The tables are close enough that one good week, one bad week can get you in and out of playoffs. There was a divide, but it wasn't so big that you are safe. Now, you have a team like Vanir, who is at 2 wins behind X7, who are at 6 currently,
yes.
and MNM, who are on 3. You walk away with a win here, and you start feeling pretty okay about things. And X7 start getting a bit hot under the collar.
And especially for a team like MNM especially, as there's just a bit of an exchange going on in the middle lane.
That's actually really interesting. So that's the E start from Chimera, because the Gatling gun has a lot of base damage if you get someone to stand in it for a very long period of time. Now, what you can do, and I hate saying this as someone who can give secret tips away for things against my champion, you can take bone plating against someone like Ahri. That early trades can get very, very awkward. Speaking of early trades, it's going to be MNM looking to stop a trade of any kind of jungle camps and walk in and force Kriox off.
Kriox is going to walk away, got one of the wolves, but the other 2 will be stolen away by Soft. But fortunately for Wukong, wasn't caught out and killed, but now the blue buff could also be forfeit.
Blue buff could be, it could be an entire quadrant. It depends what we want to see from Soft, because what you can do as Kriox is try and use Ahri to get some priority over mid lane, and then try and get Wukong to cross map, go over to the enemy Raptors, enemy red, and contest that very quickly. But the problem is, you're doing this against a Volibear rather, and once Volibear hits level 3, which you will do, build beginning very quickly, and you can potentially get ganked in mid and maybe blow a flash on that Ahri. Once that Ahri's flash is down, things get a little bit awkward after that point. Maybe you can out-duel that Wukong. Instead, actually, it's going to be Kriox very quickly heading over to the enemy jungle side of the map and trying to take away that blue buff to make sure that Soft, hopefully, is going to lose out something on himself. So Soft actually choosing not to commit to everything, but this is the worry, right? Again, you can try and get jungle advantage for Kriox, but does it expose mid?
Soft's looking towards Ericsson, who's just hit level 3, but he moves upriver towards the top side. Does have Wukong in support if he can get there quick enough, but a lot of damage going down to Ericsson, of course. He does have flash available. It's coming on through. The flash forward will go over the wall, but Soft and Chimera might look to chase. Renekton has all the priority in the world, though, so Vanir should be okay.
So I thought Ericsson might have been doing a bit of healthy trolling there at first, because he didn't use that flash. Oh, it's the level 2 Kriox. Didn't even have the warrior trickster to get that clone out of the way. But yeah, I mean, Ericsson somehow trading flash for flash against Chimera. I actually think that works out for Vanir now, because you return to that at your level 6, which of course will be around about the 6 to 7 minute mark for, well, 6 minute mark is about when you hit level 6 for your laners. Ericsson TP's back. Now, of course, Chimera not going to have a flash for potential Herald, for potential level 6 all-ins. That might be a little dangerous for MNM.
Just at this bot side, Ezreal Karma up against the Zeramin Glass. Some very familiar faces if you've been watching on this patch. A lot of champions that we see a lot of. Karma, maybe a little bit less than the others, but it's still certainly a regular.
It was very high priority at the start of the durability patch. It's always been a favorite of Korea because they love getting safe and easy lane pro and bot lane. Really feels like something like a Kalista has been the easier way to achieve that nowadays. But either way, Karma, Ezreal, been receiving a little bit more attention, a little bit more presence in the drafts than we have been used to the last couple of patches. So that's normally there, of course, for that early priority. Hasn't really done much except for the early invading towards bot side, which is now kind of ended up evening out as the weird jungle stuff happened, and we're kind of back to a reset jungle state.
We have a dragon up pretty soon. Ocean to start us off, as the top lane hasn't been all action, all fighting, all exciting, with this Renekton coming in for first one we've seen in a long time. Did have priority, of course, when there was that scrap in the mid lane moving up the river, but past that has just been pretty happy going even against this Camille.
Now you start, if we have to focus down on what is this Renekton actually going to do. So I theorized, you know, Renekton tends to be pretty good around Herald fights, and we'll have to check whether MNM even want to commit to that. I think that they have enough priority in their bot lane to commit to neutral objectives if they so wish, whether that is a early dragon or a rotation up towards Herald. And Either way, though, I feel like maybe just don't give Redectin his point of power. I feel like that's the way you beat Redectin. The one time he wants to fight, don't fight him. It's a little simple. With that, MNM going to use that bot prep, as we were saying, to start up that dragon.
Sov is being very careful not to get caught out, but the dragon, he will step up and should be spotted up. It doesn't really matter, though, because MNM have priority in the bot lane, moving on forward.
And what happens with this is, so obviously Vanir will now know this is happening, but if you don't look over to the shrine, Dragon doesn't have an icon on the map, so you don't actually get to see on the mini-map whether it is happening. Your camera would have to be over there at the time, so pulling it out with the Sky Splitter. Just a little bit of min-maxing. It's not the most important thing in the world, but worth calling out, because I think that's quite intelligent.
Sov's an intelligent guy.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Expect into that one instead of wisdom, like Vanir, who are the druids, remember? You know, all their pets.
Yeah. All of the animals in the world as Ericsson and Chimera continue trading.
The great battle between what's an intelligent wizards and druids. I mean, wizards are the intelligence class in D&D. Yeah. Or artificers. Could be that too.
Wow.
But no one plays them because they're a weird niche class. They break the game.
Themselves? I was playing in 4th edition when Sarnax came in.
Oh, 4th ed was so weird.
Rammed my head through a window because then I might make sense of what all the words mean. But I was like 12. I wasn't a smart kid when I was playing.
And what's happened to that now you're an adult?
Concussion. Head injury.
It's lasted that long ever since you were 12?
Full-time job as a League of Legends caster.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
I mean, Vanir are moving up towards the Rift Herald area. It doesn't spawn for a minute, but they might want to get something going in the top side. But Sof is also there in response. So if Vanir go aggressively, they're going to walk into a bear, which could be pretty problematic.
Oh, so Chimera just about to get their flashback up, actually. Ericsson has a little while off it, but it's
brave.
It's very brave. It's a volley bear. It's a level 6
Bear
Camille. They're popping the ults.
It's a 3v3 under tower. I don't know if they're going to be able to secure this. Dreampool will be able to survive, but Kalim's falling through. Needs to be a little bit careful. Falls down the ultimatum. Dreampool is really overextended. Will be cut down for first blood. MNM, excellent response.
What a strange decision by Vanir, because you do have a window of time to make it into a 3v2. Maybe you can play around that. But then they're slow on it. They let Chimera come up, impact that fight. Now bot lane, seeing everyone topside, decide to go for a 2v2.
And for MNM, they take the worst of the trade and will be forced to back off.
What a strange decision again, because again, you've stacked up the rage. When you're looking at Renekton, the big thing is you pop this ult and you're looking to get 2 empowered abilities. That's your point of power for Renekton. That's the first, it's the empowered W. And I believe that's actually an empowered E, which is not the best. Actually, I wasn't sure if that was a Q. Either way, I mean, you don't commit to this decisively enough. I actually wonder if you were waiting for that rage bar to stack up for that second ability. That Corki gets to impact that fight. That's the one thing you really don't want to happen. Even though the CS advantage going very heavily in favor of Dreampool right now, Camille always been a little bit awkward in this matchup. He can win it, but Renekton takes it over a little earlier. But Vanir gave that advantage right the way back and kind of give Kalim a way back into the game.
And now MNM are the ones who are going up towards the Rift Herald. Renekton's on the top side, and he loves fighting around Rift Herald. I've heard on Twitter. We'll have to see if they decide to. Vanir are contesting it with the Wukong and the Ahri. In fact, they moved up their entire bot lane, so no Renekton required, as the objectives should be secured.
So, this is going to be Herald. It happened in a little different way than potentially I would have foreseen it happening, because that top lane dive throwing things into account. Chimera is going to use this time, of course, to push in that wave, make sure that they can maybe go in and push some extra vision in. Mishki Shredder going to go on their own little mission at this point. They don't have any sweepers, and they put down their 1 pink ward, so their vision control is now down, but they found a Merbs.
The Ember's there as well, but so is Soft, so it'll be a 3v2, but Vanir, they're deep in their own jungle, should be able to just walk off.
So is there a cross map available? See Croaks up towards that top side, but Kalim playing very respectfully. It's going to be more farm away from the Camille. Really getting a little anemic at this point. Not that many resources onto this top laner for MNM. Kalim has been actually a fairly high resource, fairly high value player for MNM. Particularly on James like the Gangplank. We actually had a chance to talk to him on an interview last week too. Or rather on Monday, that was one. After the X7 game. But in this game, it's been a little bit off the script from what he's normally been working for.
Dive coming up through, but there's teleport. Soft's like, this is cool. We've just burnt their teleport. Ericsson's now down in the bot side, so I'm just going to leave.
And that's a freebie. You just threaten the dive, get something for it. I mean, you've already cleared through most of the camps that you want as Soft. You're not exactly wasting any time or wasting your presence. Now, Volibear's going to go for a quick recall, get that next base in, and Vanir now have to look at a situation where they've used one of their teleports, which can maybe help them make a big power play, which also means at this point, MNM are safe for the next couple of minutes in in terms of a lot of the big playmaking tools they have, and that's going to tide them over to getting that package. They can do whatever they want now. It feels like MNM now have the choice of what they want to do next, and I would imagine a lot of that is just safely farm.
And, you know, there's no reason not to. You've got Dragon up in 20 seconds. It's only second Dragon, so it's unlikely there's going to be a real fight, especially with Chimera picking up the package. Would that dissuade Vanir from anything?
I think you still have a point of power briefly for your Renekton. It's before items really come into the fray, so it's just your kit. And of course, Renekton doesn't really have the best items anymore. A lot of his were nerfed along the way. Package is very strong. I'm just not sure you want to go into a Dominus. At least you don't have the flash on their Renekton to worry about. And actually, with Renekton not even having teleport, not even going to enter the equation. What am I even talking about? Didn't wander his way down. And MNM picked this one up. And Vanir leave themselves. Without too many options, can't even force the dive on topside.
No, KM just very happy to set down tactical sweep, and Dragon secured by MNM.
Chimera covers top again, has the package, and we're saying as long as they're safely farming, it's probably working out for them. They of course get themselves another Dragon on top of it. They get a play into mid.
I don't know if that one was going to work, but Chimera gets the charm, dives up towards topside. They've got pressure and a Rift Herald up there now as well. So Ericsson should be able to just run backwards.
So now, actually, this lead in topside, after the tower has gone down, after these waves have gone, it's getting a little bit awkward for Vanir. I do think that maybe it's a little much for them to go towards topside. Calum.
Oh, nice knock-up coming through from Creox. It's a 2v2 right now, but Chimera is moving forward to make this one unfair. Snipes through for the first kill of the fight, and now Dreamball is in trouble. Tries to back away, but there's 3 members of MNM waiting for Calum to get the re-engage going. There it is, the knock-up, the stun. Dreamball gets a nice heal and gets towards his tower, but I think he'll be cut down just beneath it, as it's a kill for Volibear.
And just as Vanir maybe gets to the point where that top lane lead is getting a bit too much, a couple of things happen. One, use that Herald topside. Takes the rest of those plates, but it means effectively the laning phase where Renekton can keep bullying that Camille is now over. Camille can start taking that wave closer into their own side of the map, and if Renekton chooses to push it back, it's not like it's going into a tower to be denied. And then you die on the retreat. So not only have you removed now the good laning situation for Dreampool to find a lot of advantages on this Renekton, you've given a lot of that gold back up. A lot of that gold has gone onto the Corki, and it's gone, and that is a character which loves having resources thrown at them. Not only have MNM been able to safely farm on their carries, they found ways to get ahead too.
Oh, and Ericsson could be in trouble once again. Soft moving forward. Shred is also there, but I don't know if either will be needed.
Solo kill.
Chimera secures the solo. I mean, Soft was like a decent part of that, even though he didn't.
Oh, 100%. And of course, this is a 2-part player. You managed to take away that ultimate from the first use of the package when Ahri was trying to push in as just some kind of response to this top lane play, right? I mean, Ahri is trying to push in towards that mid lane, and at that point, things are awkward again. But as we said, it's just a bit of an overstay. Chimera once again hovering top, and Chimera has been on an absolute tear this week. Chimera was really the reason, or one of the primary reasons, that MNM took down X7. No, our current reigning champions, even though they are falling on hard times in this split. Chimera has been putting such a clinic on this time around, and this game against Vanir, this would put them even on game score. Again, push them close towards playoffs, let that dream become more of a reality. Didn't make playoffs in spring, even though they had their own run of form, and in summer, might be on the tickets once again.
I mean, winning here, even if you're not necessarily thinking playoffs are something that is super attainable, getting away from that relegation zone, getting points on the board to avoid going down towards Division 2, where there are some strong teams down in NLC Div 2 right now, so avoiding that one is going to be even more pivotal as you see teams, you know, like Lightside stepping up, Unique also having a pretty decent time. You've got Rate Gaming as well, so there's a lot of teams that you want to be avoiding down there, and for both of these sides, a win here takes them a little bit further away from Nariki, who obviously lost today, and Singularity, who also lost.
So, speaking of winning and losing, does seem like MNM edging closer towards a good situation for them. It's even in gold that they have themselves 2 extra dragons. A lot of that gold advantage will be coming at that top side. 50 CS advantage, even though plates and everything else have gone the other way. Fight in the river.
Stun out onto Ericsson, but this one looks pretty good. Soft goes low, has to ult away, but it's going to be followed through. The Renata ultimate gets enough. Going golden, but I don't think that will save your life, Soft, as he goes low. Shut down by Zeri. Caleb's on the side, but he's going to have to flank the entire enemy team, which he doesn't really want to do. Dreampool's running, cut off, the charm lands, and I think that's going to be another kill going over to Vanir. They catch a double on the Zeri.
It's not the first Herald, but they did fight Renekton around that Herald fight. Did Renekton actually have an impact on that fight? Actually, not very much, but either way, MNM, the basis of that is saying you're fighting before you are ready. And once again, Shredder getting caught out now, and Dreampulp making sure that they chase them off. MNM had worked pretty hard to get themselves to an even state and get themselves to a point where they could get up to relevance. 2-3 items on Corki, onto Ezreal. At that point, they are so happy with how things would have worked out, particularly if this top side of the map hadn't snowballed from Vanir. And at this point now, Vanir get themselves a bit of a freebie. They punish one of those mistakes. It has actually been the story of the NLC of the last couple of weeks, and maybe a lot of this split too. Torek was talking about it on the GDXL post-game winners interview too. All of the teams in the NLC are making mistakes right now. They are not perfect teams. We are ARL teams at this level. You are looking to develop, but these mistakes will happen. The question is, what do you do when they happen? How do you respond? Because they are inevitably going to go there. And Vanir, credit to them, are in position to catch the bit of a throw around this fight from MNM. They'd worked very hard to get themselves into an even position, but they capitalized when the opening shone.
And I mean, yeah, all the teams are making errors, and the second hero turret has been dropped down mid, trying to sneak away that mid tower and take away some safety from MNM, and charge should come off. Won't destroy the tower, but it's much, much closer, as Draken could now be in the sights of Vanir. 2 already gone down to MNM Gaming, so you don't want to give them a soul point in this early on.
Be a very difficult situation because MNM could just stall the game out until they get into huge amounts of damage on their carries, as we were saying. Vanir starting it up though, Calum on the flank.
There goes forward, will be able to skill themselves. The Dragons are slowing that win-up condition as Dreampool dumps into the back line. Murbs is going to be caught out. Ericsson's the one calling the ultimatum in the end, but Calum's a little bit exposed. We'll be able to grab one, but Chimera's there too, looking for the blast gun. We'll be able to take it. Calum not sent over into the river though, where the rest of MNM are waiting. Dives on forward. The fight is continuing. Dreampool pretty much untouched, will be caught by the tether and goes low. Soft marauding forward, grabs another for his team. It's a double for the bear as Murbs skates away. Zaremba
that's
in
Zeri.
retreat, flash forward stun. Calum follows as well. But
That's
Murbs is kiting, grabs 2, moving towards Shredder, but he's too quick on the retreat, and he's going to continue with the chase, the speed up, the damage, but he decides he doesn't want to overextend.
Oh, Murbs just unleashes. He absolutely Murbs out over MNM at the end of it. And again, you don't want to do this into a Zeri. It feels like, again, it is a lot of ill-advised decisions being made. A couple of those mistakes coming through and having to be capitalized on. Vanir making the right decision here. I feel like starting that dragon, making sure that MNM don't get a chance to steal it. They force the engage onto them, and once Calum and Chimera have kind of used their big engage tools, someone like Murbs doesn't actually have that much threat onto them. You don't have the ability to close down that Zeri. Zeri's already popped the ultimate, starting to stack up on those movement speed stacks, and if you keep hitting your auto attacks, keep hitting those empowered autos, you manage to keep that move speed sticking up. And while Volibear is a run-at-you champion, Zeri is a run-away-at-you champion and does such a good job of it in this fight. Don't quite manage to CC chain, and Murbs punishes them for it.
And with
Murbs out.
If Caleb had been able to grab that CC, I think that would have been a completely different story.
I agree.
Unfortunately, a little bit too quick on the flash from the Zeri means that he was able to grab an extra double and get himself even further on the board. 4-0-1 is a pretty nice scoreline to be on a Zeri when you're in this kind of game. And MNM still have these scalers, right? They still have a composition that, by and large, will feel pretty happy going into the late game on an even keel, and they're only about 2,000 behind right now.
And see what happens with this skirmish now. Soft looking on the aggressive.
Oh, yeah, needs to be very careful as he's going to be slowed up, caught up in the Renata ultimate. Fighting and chokes is not the one. As Soft goes low, will be removed by Ericsson on the side. Dreampool teleporting in a little bit late, but his team won the fight.
That's about that. The willing was there from Dreampool. It's just going to be joining as a cheerleader at the end of it. Calum at least gets a free chance to push in topside, but MNM, after that dragon fight, feels like they were just a little too bold to start up that fight again. Again, they shouldn't feel pressured to take these fights at this point. Soft didn't actually have the ultimate for a couple more seconds at the start of that, and of course dies before the CC chain can end, and you can cast that ult afterwards. But now Vanir, much like some of the other games we've seen today, have capitalized on the weaknesses. They need to now do their own due diligence to not make those same mistakes and throw it right back to MNM. They are on a point now where they can fight around some strong carries, 2 items on the Zeri. Zeri is your real insurance policy for Vanir compared to the Corki and the Ezreal. It's not going to be enough to catch out both of them, I feel like, in the late game, but for now it will definitely do, especially when you've got Wukong and Arya doing some aggressive playmaking of their own regards.
Momentum meter sitting in the middle right now. Neither team has really, either both teams have impressed or neither team have impressed our panel of experts.
Well, I'd put it this way. There is a lead on Vanir who have an earlier spike in comp. That means that they get a little bit of a free pass for this early game, but you know that if they don't get anything done, things are going to slowly get awkward for them. So the lead, it's feel good for now, but they need to do something with it because MNM will eclipse them at some point.
Is there a kind of a break point where I should be worried for Vanir?
2 items on Corki is kind of rough, not going to lie. I think when you hit 2 items on the Ezreal and the Corki, which they've just hit, you start getting worried. I think once you get to the point where you are kind of getting to every item beyond that point, the Corki just becomes their own living artillery, and not in a Kog'Maw way, just in the way that they play around this team. I think already we're getting to this point where Vanir needs to be very worried about how Chimera's playing these fights.
Just keep your eyes on the yordle in these
I forget
exchanges.
he's a yordle, you know, 'cause he's in the copter. The ruffle copter.
He's flying a corgi, isn't he?
Yeah, in this skin, yeah. It's, sadly, we haven't got any zoom-in butt wiggles this time, but
yeah, and MNS didn't do that either on Monday when he was on the same skin.
There you go. That's why actually we had to bring in the tweets. We had to ensure that we had a way to get our fuzzy goodness from our pets. Dreampool.
Dreampool's looking for a flank
fight. A little more spiky though.
Red, the damage coming through is pretty huge, and the Karma cut down by Murbs. He's unstoppable as the rest of the team. MNM got 2 side lanes looking to make advantages.
And this is kind of the problem where you're pushing lane on the other side of the map. You're not pushing towards your pushing lanes, and much like earlier into the game, jungle quadrants have become a little bit weird. It's a bit of who's actually owns this jungle, because it's been a lot of back and forth between them, but at this point, MNM walking into their own jungle, assuming they're safe, and they're absolutely not. Dreampool cutting them out down to size.
Side lanes are likely to be where some action is, because Renekton's still going to be able to scrap there, even if he loses a little bit of momentum, because, as you said, bases are good, itemization can be a little bit tricky. He's got 2 items, so he's not a slouch.
Yeah, I mean, Death Dance, Death Dance and Gore Drinker definitely helps. It's just, it's not the same as this godlike combo of Gore Drinker into Starix from Spring, and then obviously, wait, was it even Spring at this point? Was it last year where it was super strong? I feel like it was last year at this point. It's been a while since I've thought about Renekton, because he's just not been on the radar for me. But when that was obviously very, very meta, I was, oh, it was in Spring, obviously, of course. But yeah, that's why Haru was playing so much of it.
Yeah.
Back in Spring. But hey, you know, we have had a lot of conversations about making mistakes. Do you know what happens when I make a mistake? Do you know what it's called? It's called a Nimera. Error.
That joke was a Nimera.
Yeah. You could at least take a second to let it breathe.
Didn't need to. Just did not need to. So when you know, you know.
Do you have it? Quick, think of one for yourself, sorry.
I'm Viper ruining your day.
Huh. Not only is it correct, it's factual.
I mean, those 2 things mean the same thing, but...
Well, no, technically, I suppose. It depends on the frame of reference, frame of mind.
Well.
From a certain point of view, as one Obi-Wan Kenobi would say.
Oh, my word. But, I mean, this game, Vanir and MNM, again, things feel very even. Makes sense, because these teams are very close to each other in the standings. Both teams are fighting towards, looking up towards those playoffs, hopefully and expectantly, even potentially, because right now when you look at some of the questionable performances we've seen from some of the teams up there, you've got to make a case that maybe there is a world where even both of these teams could compete.
I think that we've been seeing close games between our playoffs and non-playoffs teams in the NLC all day today. I saw that a little bit on Monday too. There were a couple more shutouts. Sometimes the early games get a little too rocky for some of our lower placed teams to ride out that storm, but it feels like teams like MNM and Vanir have been having, well, a couple have been having closer games with those top teams, and now they're up against each other. I'm not going to say it feels tense. I don't think that's the way. I feel like the way this is just not necessarily understanding their points of power. But it has been a slower paced affair again. Again, it's the same problem. The game time going a little bit forwards and not wanting to make that mistake. It has felt like these teams have been more tentative today. I think even on Monday, it felt like we were more ready to pull that trigger. But this time it's been more slow.
I mean, my mum said dinner's going to be ready in 8 minutes, so...
Oh no! We've got 50 seconds.
Hurry up! I saw a Renekton and I was like, yeah, Mum, don't worry about it.
There was one time, actually, when I was going to go to school, and I kind of like because I was playing Rome Total War, which is a great game, by the way. Absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. And this was at the time when, oh no, I don't even get to talk about this. Well, Kellen's probably going to die because he doesn't have a flash. He's going to knock him up. Oh,
I don't know. Creox is holding on to the ultimate. Will pop it eventually. Just wait for Merbs to get there so he can get involved and should be able to secure the kill. Creox actually diving on down. Shredder unable to do too much.
Much like myself in that one time playing Rome Total War, I wanted to leave the PC on and then go to school because I hadn't had time to save it. Right. So then I got shut down, just like Kalen was in the top lane. Yeah, that's the end of that story. It looks like Baron's going to be started now. Vanir finally pulling the trigger. Is there a package to be aware of? What's on the table? How can MNM contest this?
I think has just picked it up, has teleport available.
There he is, package coming
through as Ericsson is chased away, but Soft going to go pretty low, has to ult away to safety. Chimera, the package is available, but I don't know how much it's going to do. Have Vanir been poked off too much to actually contest any further? Yes, they have.
Greenpool has no mobility left.
Low. Chimera, what can you do? Ericsson's going to rejoin the rest of his team, but MNM not willing to go that one further step.
You can see one of the many faults of Renekton at that point. You use your flash, you use your E, that slice and dice. What do you have after that point? You're outranged and you're outgunned. Just the threat of teleporting in from Chimera. Vanir have to back off. It is a good pick in that top side. They get something for that, but the game slows down again. And the slower this game gets, the more it favors the Corki. Yes, you are scaling up on that Zeri on the other side, but it feels like Corki is going to be the uncontested DPS king with a little help from Ezreal if this game gets any slower and any longer.
Package, of course, now has been burnt. That is kind of like a summoner being thrown away. Yep. It was used to decompress the situation, but didn't actually help too much as Soft goes up in the air, goes low, trying to escape, but can't find it as Creox is ripping through MNM's backline, looking towards Chimera, but the flash is utilized as Vanir chase further. The charm was missed onto Shredder, who's still looking to escape. Ericsson's chasing forward. The tether will land. The stun doesn't come through in the end, though, as Vanir unable to find more than one.
And once again, I cannot believe it. It is a mistake thrown back in the face of the team that initially kind of created the same problems for them. It's actually, you know, Vanir getting that first pick, then having to pull off of that Baron. I thought that was going to be a difficult situation. They'd have to reset. But MNM lose a pick just after that point. Felt like the game could have slowed down. They make the mistake to speed it back up, and it have to be kicking themselves after that one. So unfortunate for them.
Very, very difficult, and game has kind of stalled out quite a lot. There's a good gold lead for Vanir. They're playing towards Soul Point in 4.5 minutes time, but they've been unable to find
the killer blows.
Yeah, it's been a case of, hey, we're winning these fights, but like not massively, so they're not achieving that much off the back of it.
Yeah, they're getting some slight teamfight victories, they're getting some picks here and there, but it's not like a big power play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're 27 minutes in, you've taken one in a tower. You've taken the dragons, that helps, but it's not at the point in time where you are definitely winning each and every fight, particularly because of the way these compositions are at. We already talked about the Corki and Ezreal and how they are really difficult for Vanir to deal with, but it does feel like Vanir haven't managed to set up the map to get these huge crushing flanks, these great engages, try and get Renekton into that backline. It's a little bit harder to do that when something like a Camille on the other side, something like a Volibear too, much less reliable at getting onto your targets, but if you're not getting onto your targets, the game slows down, and that's what they're trying to do now.
Looking to get onto the targets, will land a couple of knockouts, but gets turned low. Has to go golden to survive. Shredder's chased on Dreamball, cutting him through. Kaelin comes onto the side. Mishigu is looking to dodge away from the Renata ultimate, but Vanir are looking for that killer blow to start their lead in earnest. Won't get the slow to Mishigu, but Kaelin's called out. The ultimatum will not come through. Merbs could look to be bailed out here. Won't do, as he's blown up by Mishigu. The shutdown goes on to Ezreal, who's going to look to ult. Ericsson dies forward, dies for the ace, but will achieve it.
That is still the 2 carries down for Vanir. Those 2 kills from Mishigu stop Vanir getting Baron. I was about to praise them, say, you know, they've just found that killer blow, just found that teamfight win, but some last-minute heroics from Mishigu. Of course, it's Mishigu for MNM. Now, we talked a lot about Camera, but Mishigu has been the rock for this team the entire year. Manages to at least salvage something from an awful teamfight for MNM.
And for Vanir, slight overextension potentially. Oh, analysts feel like they're heavily favored, but let's have another look at this one.
So this is the patience running out. This is trying to get into those targets. And we said it's unreliable at hitting that backline, getting onto the targets, but at least they managed to get the first engage. I wonder if it was a bit of a mistake from Soft to try and dive back in, especially when you're not able to check Ericsson at the end of it. The Ahri gets in, Everfrost, and burst onto the correct target. But while this is happening, Michigu's not been shut down, and Michiku, credit to him, seriously manages to land the big combo. I think that was just out of vision, actually. The Essence Flux into the ult, absolutely shredding through Ericsson, doesn't see it coming, and last auto attack comes through for an incredibly important trade. It's slow. Again, this is still a win for Vanir, but it could have been the game.
It could have been taking the game much into their favor, probably not finishing in the League of Legends.
I think it would have been done in everything but name at that point. Because if you get Baron, and then you get to reset off at that point with 5 members because you've actually not had anyone die, that would have been, I think, the game-breaking play. This has basically made it into a feels bad moment, but it's not actually led to the Baron going down. It's not led to the tipping of the scales.
And our analysts coming out of that replay were like, actually seeing that one again. A little bit less favored to Vanir than potentially we thought. So MNM still in this game in a hard-fought position, but as we said, 3 items on Corki, 3 items on Ezreal. They've started to find stride.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you compare champion like a Corki or an Ezreal, you know the targets you're going to be hitting pretty much all of the time, so you can build appropriately for that. Yeah. You can see that Corki, Ezreal, very happy to build to hit the front line in a lot of ways, particularly with like Leandries and the Eclipse. Whereas a champion like Ahri on the other side, you can see that Everfrost, the Horizon Focus as well. This is a build from Ericsson which screams to me, I don't really know who I'm hitting. You're kind of playing half utility with a little bit of extra damage and a little bit of CDR. It's kind of sad at that point. Of course, you haven't managed to snowball through anything like the library pass, you know, the Dark Seal going into something like a Magi's late into the game. None of that snowballs happened. You don't have big burst items. Feels like you've kind of had to do a jack of all trades to kind of do utility, kind of do some frontline damage for the Void Staff. And you are so far behind in your efficiency of your build compared to someone like a Corki who is, again, doesn't have the same issues.
MNM going to be moving towards this dragon. It will be solved for Vanir if they can
jump.
The Creox is going to go in. Doesn't want this fight to kick off. Kalim's already dead as the ultimate burns through. There's the package as well. Chimera out the other side, but Vanir holding relatively strong in the middle, looking to jump onto the backline. Murbs gets Michigo soft, has to ult away once again. Never using that one aggressively as Murbs chases forward. Can't get the slow from the zap, but will be able to zone away members. Now Vanir can move towards this Dragon Soul and 4 Hextechs.
Soft is on vision. Dreampool. Why has this happened so much today? Dreampool doesn't even matter. He's not even.
They will take out a second. Chimera was looking towards the Crocodile. Shredder actually stays alive much longer than I thought he would. Chimera just trying to steal away this dragon, but it's just going to be a leash as Dreampool moves forward, looking to steal it. What? Vanir! Come on! They can get Baron, but come on!
Oh, they stopped the soul going up.
Torek was actually, you know, we don't have good teams here.
Oh gosh, it has been so scrappy, hasn't it? And you can see again, it's just so hard for these teams to find the killer blow. And Chimera, that is a man amongst men move. It is going to be the Baron going down, but it's not the permanent objective of the soul going over to Vanir with.
This is
with
fine
the respawns happening, you don't even get Vanir being able to immediately get uncontested push into lanes. You even get MNM going to respawn and take a tower. This is absurd stuff. Yeah, don't ask me to characterize this. I don't know how to analyze all of this. It's been an experience.
You have exactly 3 minutes. That clock on the top is saying, look, the play was fine because we got Baron, and if they could end there, doesn't matter. But this team fight starts pretty standard, but then I don't know what Vanir are doing.
So the start of this is playing around vision control, getting the first pick, and then trying to roll through it. But then, I mean,
this is all fine.
I mean, this is still a fine team. The team fight is good from Vanir. This is fine. They managed to split the team fight, and as we've seen through a lot of today, the mobility advantage is on the side of Vanir. You don't get to run away from them because you're just slower than them. What happens after this point, though, is that you don't have your Zeri, you don't have your Wukong. It feels like actually Vanir have tried to have their cake and eat it. And they don't even have their jungler at this point. Chimera very quickly realizes, hang on, they actually don't have Smite here. And this is really good recognition of Chimera to say, you don't have Smite. You've tried to get both objectives at once, head up towards that Baron. In a moment of lapse of concentration from Creox and crew, means that MNM get to stop them getting that huge soul. Is it enough, though? Baron's still down. Dragon is one thing, but the amount of gold going in the pocket of Vanir means that they can crush through this area of the map which they struggle to for the rest of the game. How much are those heroics really going to be worth?
The wallets are fat. How much damage they do when hurled at MNM structures is the question, as Vanir have moved all 5 members down to the bot lane. The mid lane tower did go down, but the inhibitor is only being attacked by some regular minions. We'll get Baron up now as Ericsson heads on over to escort them.
It's an improvised weapon, it's D4, so I've been told, but is that going to be enough to finish off and take MNM down as they only have a handful of structures left on the map? It is finally going to be that base broken open, and Ericsson has become a library reader. One good fight. And suddenly, I'm a much more happy librarian as the Magi's has been picked up. That's a little more damage. Of course, it's not that high stacks. It's breaking even in terms of gold value. When you get 10 stacks, it is solvent in terms of the amount of gold that it has. But still, extra damage, extra ability to close down these carries. Mishigu doesn't have defensive stats. Chimera only has a stopwatch. You hit the right targets now, maybe they're just going to delete.
But they're looking to close this one out. The mid lane inhibitor will be a big gain because it allows them to have pressure whenever they want it. Of course, side lanes are always lovely, but there's nothing to fight over for a couple of minutes at least. Vanir still looking to keep the pressure up, but MNM have that poke. They have the ability to defend effectively. Zaremba survives.
And the Ezreal and the Corki, they've hit their items. We were saying pretty consistently, look, give enough time to the Ezreal and the Corki, and they're going to do a lot of damage. Now, the way that the fights have worked out is that they're not slow enough for Corki to have uncontested damage enough. It feels like Vanir have been playing well enough around Vision to get that first pick. Use the Flash Renekton, use the Charm, use whatever else it is available to them to get those first picks. But if you do manage to sit in one of these siege scenarios, even if you're on the receiving end of it from Vanir, it's just enough time to sit there, fire out your skill shots, and see what damage you can do.
Vanir, you've got to imagine... Well, I feel like Vanir have the killing blow in them.
I feel like they do now. That gold advantage is becoming a bit of an issue now. So much more gold in pocket. Calum overstepping a little bit. Not enough. Camille, obviously a very slippery champion. Next minute, got that dragon coming up. Vanir looking towards that vision control. That's been the key difference maker for them in a lot of these fights so far. Dream pull on the Renekton. Still able to be that flash point and click CC. And that first target, if they are hit, is going to hit the dirt. Question is that enough to win them the fight afterwards? How much damage can Chimera and Mishigu do even against Vanir's first pick?
Decent amount of damage goes on to Shredder. Chimera flying on forward with the package. This could be it, as this one's picked up a little bit before any of the objectives actually spawn. They're looking towards the Zaremba, get some damage onto Creox the jungler. It's half health. Remember, Chimera's going to be picking out damage, but they're turning the fight around. Fully past. Oh, Shredder's almost deleted. He's shredded through. The Renata ultimate doesn't catch onto anyone important as Chimera has to fly away, but ultimately, we saw the package used defensively, and now Vanir can move towards that Hex take Soul.
But this isn't over just yet. You do have ult from Ericsson. That's the last remaining playmaking tool. Flash in an ult. What can you do, Ericsson? No other mobility available. Oh, Dream pull!
Low, caught up, but Dream pull on the side, looking for the assassination, the ambush from the bushes as Vanir get themselves the soul. That could be all they need, breaking the lines of MNM Gaming. Mishigu dives forward, but it's only into the grave as the Shredder stands not strong, as Vanir should be able to close this one out.
Oh, Vanir, they make a meal out of it, but they do manage to find the advantages they need around the big team fights and finally walk away with the win.
Vanir, in an above-average game time for the NLC Division 1, secure themselves a win, go one place, one game below X7 esports towards those playoff spots. MNM Gaming probably be kicking themselves a little bit after that one.